Africa is no longer the playground of a single superpower. As the continent rises, rich in minerals, oil, gas, rare earths, and human potential, it has become the center stage for a global competition. The Sahel region, in particular, has become the epicenter of that struggle. This vast stretch of land cutting across West and Central Africa is now the arena where giants like the United States, Russia, and China wrestle for power, influence, and control. The United States is no stranger to Africa. Through AFRICOM, military bases, drone hubs, and diplomatic ties, Washington has maintained a strong presence for decades. But its influence is waning. The old model, military aid in exchange for loyalty, is being challenged. A new order is emerging. And the main players in this new game are China and Russia. Russia came in fast and loud. In Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, Moscow filled the vacuum left by France's exit. The Wagner Group and later the Africa Corps became household names. Weapons deals, counter-terrorism support, and strongman diplomacy earned Russia allies in West Africa. In 2023 and 2024, Moscow was hailed as a liberator by some, especially in Burkina Faso, where crowds raised Russian flags alongside Pan-African banners, but things have changed. The war in Ukraine is draining Russia's resources. As the conflict stretches into its fourth year, Moscow's ability to supply weapons, advisors, and logistical support to its African partners is weakening. The shipments are slower. Ammunition is harder to come by. And even its Africa Corps is under financial strain, with some fighters reportedly unpaid for months. This is where China steps in, quietly, strategically, and with cold precision. Beijing has always played the long game. And in the Sahel, its timing is impeccable. In July 2025, Mali received a new batch of Chinese-made armored personnel carriers. The delivery was discreet, but highly symbolic. It confirmed China's readiness to step into Russia's shoes as the Sahel's next great arms supplier. But this didn't start in 2025. In September 2024, Mali signed a multifaceted defense agreement with China's defense giant NORINCO, the China North Industries Group Corporation. The deal includes military equipment, tactical training, and technology transfer. NORINCO is the same company that supplies tanks, drones, and artillery systems to dozens of countries across Asia and Africa. Now, Mali is among its newest clients. Burkina Faso is also strengthening ties with China. In 2024 alone, the military junta in Ouagadougou received 116 infantry carriers and 6 assault vehicles from Beijing. That's a massive upgrade for a country fighting multiple insurgencies. And it didn't stop there. In January 2025, Burkina Faso received another significant delivery of NORINCO's armored vehicles. These included advanced troop carriers designed for counterinsurgency warfare, perfectly suited for operations against militant groups in the northern and eastern regions of the country. But there's another game-changing force rising in the Sahel, one that's sending shockwaves through the old global order. In 2023, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger defied the world and came together to form the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, a historic military and political bloc aimed at defending their sovereignty and security on their own terms. No longer willing to be manipulated by foreign military bases or dictated to by international institutions, these three nations decided to build something radical: an African security force for African problems. The AES is more than a symbolic alliance. It has teeth. In 2024 and 2025, the member states began joint military training, coordinated border security operations, and intelligence sharing to crush the insurgencies that have plagued the region for over a decade. The creation of a joint military command marked a bold step toward unified defense, not under the flag of NATO, not under AFRICOM, but under African leadership. And the results are beginning to show. In northern Burkina Faso and eastern Mali, coordinated ground offensives have pushed back extremist groups that once roamed freely. For the first time in years, local populations are seeing the return of state control. Villages once held by armed groups are now under AES protection. The message is clear. African nations can and will protect their people, without begging for Western troops. The AES is also exploring the creation of a mutual defense pact and a regional peacekeeping force, modeled not after the failed UN missions, but on strategic autonomy and military realism. They are rejecting what they call the security illusion that Western presence brings, highlighting how years of foreign military occupation never solved the terrorism crisis, and in many cases, made it worse. What's even more significant is how the AES is combining military independence with economic and diplomatic coordination. They are engaging with China, Russia, and Turkey not as clients, but as sovereign actors, negotiating weapons deals, infrastructure development, and strategic partnerships that serve their national interest, not foreign agendas. This alliance is more than a reaction, it's a revolution. For the first time in modern African history, former French colonies are building a united defense front, rewriting the rules of diplomacy, and shaping their own future. The West didn't expect this. France is out. The US is being sidelined. And now, with the AES gaining momentum and legitimacy, the Sahel is no longer a zone of chaos. It is becoming the birthplace of a new African order. Why is China doing this? Because Beijing understands that power in Africa is no longer just about trade, it's also about guns and alliances. China's strategy is simple: offer affordable, reliable weapons with no strings attached. No lectures about democracy. No pressure for reforms. No sanctions. Just business. And this business is booming. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI, China is now the third largest arms exporter to sub-Saharan Africa, behind only Russia and France. But with Russia's supply chain faltering and France all but kicked out of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, China is poised to rise even higher. But weapons are just one part of Beijing's playbook. China is combining military aid with massive economic influence. In Niger and Mali, Chinese firms control oil blocks and mining concessions. In Burkina Faso, Chinese contractors are involved in major infrastructure projects, including dams, roads, and solar grids. The message is clear: fight your enemies with our weapons, then rebuild your country with our money. Unlike the United States, China does not promote military-to-military cooperation under democratic umbrellas. Instead, it offers state-to-state cooperation, respecting each government's sovereignty, whether it's a democracy or a military junta. This hands-off approach appeals strongly to Sahel governments who are tired of the West's double standards. After years of being preached to by the IMF, World Bank, and foreign embassies, these nations are charting their own course. They want partners, not bosses. But what does this mean for Africa? Some warn that China is merely replacing one form of dependency with another. Others argue that African nations, for once, are playing the global game on their own terms, choosing who to partner with, when, and how. Burkina Faso, under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore, is at the heart of this shift. By embracing strategic autonomy, strengthening ties with both Russia and China, and rejecting neo-colonial influence, Burkina Faso is redefining what African sovereignty looks like. And it is not alone. Mali, Niger, Guinea, and even Chad are watching closely, some already following suit. The Sahel is no longer a French backyard, nor an American outpost. It is becoming the front line of a new geopolitical order. A battlefield where bullets and bulldozers go hand in hand. A region where China's silent takeover is accelerating, not with invasion, but with investment. Not with ultimatums, but with armored vehicles. The world is changing. And Africa, for once, is not just reacting, it is recalibrating. The West ignored the signs. China read the room. And as Russia bleeds in Ukraine, Beijing is winning a different kind of war in Africa, a war of influence. One delivery at a time. If you found this video insightful, help amplify the message. Like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. We are decoding the new Africa, one truth at a time. And trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next.